tells you this, but becoming someone new will require a level of solitude that makes other people feel uncomfortable. I'm going to start this off by talking about the difference between solitude and isolation, because I think there's an important distinction to be made here. When we think of isolation, I think of it as you are avoiding something. You maybe don't want to have these social interactions because you have anxiety or whatever it might be. You don't want to interact with certain things, and that's why you're pulling back and isolating yourself. And no man is an island, so it's not good to stay in that. Solitude, however, is you're seeking something. You're seeking the kingdom within. We live in a world and time where there's so much noise and chatter, and we are constantly being inundated with tons and tons of information, and this can make it hard for us to distinguish what thoughts are our own. So being in solitude and enjoying your own company again and just doing things for your own purposes, it's as if you're reintroducing yourself to your inner knowing, getting to know that voice and trusting it. And that requires you to shut other things out so that you can give yourself the presence that you're so desperately wanting and actually hear what it is that quiet voice wants to tell you. Now, what can happen during this time is that it will start to put a strain on your relationships. And there are many reasons for this. People, for the most part, don't quite particularly like change. They are comfortable with what they know. And so sometimes when you present yourself in a different way because you've had all these internal changes, somebody else will be like, well, since when are you like this? Or make certain comments. And that can just be because you're showing up in a way that they're not used to. And I mean, the people who are actually for you will eventually get on board with the change, but I don't think you necessarily have to throw people away if they don't respond initially the way you might want them to during change, because it's a jarring experience for them. And you're totally allowed to do this, by the way. And that brings me to my next point, which is sometimes when we go through these processes and these changes, there are people who energetically are no longer a match for our frequency, and sometimes that means that the relationship or the connection will have to be released. And it's not in any type of like you thinking you're better than people type of way. It's just some relationships come into your life for certain seasons and periods of time, and then as we all grow and develop on our paths, they no longer make sense. And that will be up to you to kind of decide where these relationships will go. And sometimes it's just like this very easy parting. There doesn't always have to be drama. It's just you'll realize together maybe that like both of you will realize that you don't resonate with each other anymore, and it will be fine. Other times there are big blowouts, but life happens for us, and we will take those all in stride and learn from those situations too. And this also goes into the concept of your identity, because at the core of us, like, we're tribal people, and we want to be accepted by the people within our community and tribe. And sometimes we will deny ourselves the calling that we've had to change our identity or step into our power or expand, because we're afraid of what other people might think. And I would just remind you that you're going to resent these people, and they're not even going to know why if you're afraid to be who you actually are because you are seeking their validation. You must first know who you are and have a greater respect for yourself and for honoring what is on your heart and in your soul than you do keeping up appearances to feel comfortable around certain people. Like, if they are your people, You'll all be growing together, and you might even inspire them to go after their dreams. And if not, then again, like, they'll just move out of your life and you'll create space for what's actually meant to be there. So you're winning either way. In my previous video, which I will link a card to, we discussed the idea of the caterpillar in a chrysalis as our metaphor for a liminal space. And it is so important during this time for containment. It's a period of growth and gestation, and that needs to be protected from outside elements so that it has the chance to grow into itself in purity before it is released to the external world and influenced by it. And so when you're refashioning yourself, you don't want the ideas of other people commingling with you and just creating all this noise and chaos and pulling you in different directions. You're supposed to be still and know what you are. And in this process of solitude, of being by yourself, of listening to yourself, you really get an understanding of like, hey, this is what my soul is calling for. And what can happen sometimes is we'll allow other people's beliefs to kill our dreams before we even get a chance to go after them. And that's why you need to shut out the world and really get firm and convicted in what it is that you're doing first before you let other people touch it. And you need to do whatever you need to do to make sure that that happens. Like, instead of telling people about what your plans are, show them once you've done it. Instead of being like, oh, I'm thinking of doing this thing, just do it and then let people see it, and the right people will find you. But if you start talking about it, especially in a space that is like with old energy that doesn't even resonate with who you are now, it can sometimes be like cutting off that opportunity before it even gets to flourish. It's like when you prematurely cut a rose and then it never gets to bloom into its full capacity, and that would be a shame, and you don't want to do that to yourself. Allow yourself this time to process everything, to really get oriented, and to stand firm in that conviction and be strong in that so that reality can shift around you. I had to switch my mic there. Yeah. The last thing that I kind of want to touch on in this isolation or versus solitude concept when we are in this space or time of liminality is about not burning bridges. So while it is important to have boundaries and honor yourself and take the time that you need to, there's a lot of nuance here, and you'll be called to, have grace for yourself and other people in this time. So the environment that you're in usually will have some sort of influence on your thought patterns and how you are. Now that you're changing, it follows that you might not resonate with your environment in the same way, or the people in your environment might have beliefs that you no longer have. In fact, in order for you to be something different, you're going to have to think completely different thoughts, because this is an identity shift that's taking place. So it will likely follow that you'll feel that you don't quite resonate with the people around you anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that you start to have this spiritual ego, excuse me, I dropped something there, where you're starting to think that you're better than people and just telling them that, like, oh, you just like have these certain kinds of thoughts, or like that doesn't exist. Like, we don't come to this change to then like tell people that they're wrong and you're so much more spiritual than them. Like, that's a surefire way to burn all the bridges of the connections that you have. The best way that you can teach people what you know is to live by example. In fact, if people do not seek out to ask you what it is that you're doing, you probably shouldn't be trying to give them life advice, because they're not usually going to take very well to that. the Bible has so many good nuggets like about that stuff. I'm not personally a religious person, but I do believe in the power of storytelling, and just some of the bars in there are like super fire. Like for example, do not cast pearls before swine. Now, I'm not saying that as if to say that like the people that you know are swine or anything in that regard, but it's just that I always think of that verse as stating to people that if somebody doesn't have the ears to hear something, or they don't see the value in it, they just absolutely will look at you like you're crazy and think that there's like no point in what this person is talking about. And then they'll start to, if like you're new and you haven't fully bought into this stuff, like you're gonna start questioning your own beliefs. It's a lot easier for people that are lower on the vibrational scale to pull you down than it is for you to raise them up. But when you can just be that person that gets to share the abundance that you have and that beautiful vibration with other people, the right people will be like, oh, I want that. I want to know what you're doing, or just like try to understand, and then you can share those things with people. And that's a good way of like keeping the balance of I want to share this with people without trying to like cram it down their throats, if that makes sense. And so again, thank you for watching this video. In the description box below, I will have a link to my TikTok account, my Substack, where I write essays that are about these same topics, and I will also have my PayHip store where you can download my free reflection called The In-Between, where I have some guided questions to help you navigate this time of change. And I am so grateful to you for stopping by, so don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, and please give me a comment to let me know what you thought about it, and if you're going through a period of liminality right now, so that we can have a fun community of people going through these changes together. And I cannot wait to see you at the next video. Bye.